Hey guys, so in today's video I wanted to talk about the Khloe Kardashian photo scandal that went on earlier this month or last month. There's a few reasons why I've chosen not to film this video until now, which we'll get into momentarily, but I do have a lot of thoughts, and more importantly, I kind of want to get y'all's opinion on this as well. I feel like I have a lot of ideas for videos coming up where it's like, I definitely have an opinion on this stuff, but I'm not at all trying to imply that my opinion is the absolute correct one. Just some stuff I'm trying to work through and figure out. So I hope you guys are down. Before we get started, make sure you check the down bar for links on my social media platforms. Thumbs up the video if you like it. Subscribe if you are new here. You know you want to. If you're not new here, hey, what's up? How's your mom and them? Come hang out on Patreon for bonus content. And I'm just going to get into this. So for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about when I talk about the Khloe Kardashian photo scandal, I will quickly run through the details of it. Basically, sometime, like I said, either last month or this month, I can't really remember when, a photo of Khloe Kardashian was leaked. Apparently, someone took the photo and accidentally posted it to her social media account, and a lot of people had a very strong reaction to the photo itself, and Khloe herself had a very strong reaction to the release of the photo, which I think is kind of what I find most interesting, is all the different reactions to this photo and kind of what we can learn about the situation. So the photo itself, which I'm not going to show here because I kind of have a lot to say about consent and your image on the internet, which I'll get into in a minute. But the photo itself, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. Seriously, the truth of the matter is we all take unflattering photos, and there is a science to photos and getting flattering photos. That's why photography is such an art form itself. It's just ridiculous for people to think that you're gonna look the same way all the time, which I will also get into momentarily. I don't think there's anything wrong with the photo. Tons of women would probably love to have a body like that. It just was a little different than what we usually see the Kardashian clan kind of putting out there. It was very natural looking, and it just didn't have that normal, polished, posed, well lit, edited kind of perfection that we tend to see on their social media feeds. And what happened was the photo went up, it was immediately taken down, but the internet is forever. We all know this. And there was this huge reaction to it collectively. There was a reaction from certain people on the internet who took the time to drag her to smithereens. There were people who were happy in that moment to see an image like that posted of one of the Kardashians, but then were disappointed that it was removed. Then there was Khloe's reaction to it, which was big. It was a very big reaction. It was one of these things where legal got involved and they wanted the image completely scrubbed from the internet. Then there was the reaction to Khloe's reaction. So it was just this chain of reactions that kind of, it illuminated for me that this photo, as incidental as it kind of seems on the surface, is kind of like a Rorschach test for us as a society and as a culture as it pertains to our relationships with ourselves, our relationships with our bodies, our relationship with social media, our relationship with the Kardashians. So really depending where you fell on the spectrum in these places was probably going to determine the way you reacted to this photo. So the first thing I want to talk about is how a lot of people thought that Khloe was ridiculous in the pursuit of trying to get this photo removed. And on the one hand, I would say, yeah, kind of, because again, it's on the internet now. There's just kind of nothing you can do about this, unfortunately. I think there was legal threats involved, and that's kind of, again, a big reaction. I do have to say that it did raise some questions for me surrounding consent and images on the internet. It becomes very interesting when you kind of have to look at the fact that your image can be used on the internet on a global platform without any permission from you to do so. And what does that mean? And do we really take inventory of or respect people's choices not to be on the internet? Because for example, there's a lot of discussion, and I know this isn't the same thing, but it kind of feels similar to me. There's a lot of discussion lately about family vlogs and the ethics or lack thereof in their existence, because these children are unable, that are in these family vlogs, to give consent to have their image put all over the internet. And by the time they finally can say whether or not they like it to be up there or not, it's too late, you know? And then you also have things like people who get made into memes. I'm going to put some examples right here. Those people's images are all over the internet. We know these faces. They don't make $1 off of that. And I mean, because we don't like know their names, I guess that still grants them a little bit of anonymity, but there is something to be said for your image being like circulated all over the world without you being able to say boo about it or do anything about it. And I have no solutions for that, but it did raise the question of why everyone felt so entitled to this image when she should be able, any of us should be able to say whether or not we want images of ourselves on the internet, and especially in this case when so much content was made for profit surrounding the use of this image. So it raised a lot of questions for me around this subject. Again, I can see it from both sides, but I just wonder what you guys think about consent and images on the internet, particularly if they're yours and particularly if they're ones you don't want people to see. One of the next points that was brought up was the fact that Khloe was essentially a victim of herself, in that she was a victim of the beauty standards that her and her family have popularized and capitalized off of for a very long time. And I think that's very interesting. And I can also see that from both sides because, yeah, at this point and for many years now, it does kind of feel like the Kardashians are the ones setting these beauty standards. And I notice this more than anything when it comes to like the images that I see social media influencers putting out. It's very formulaic. It's a very similar aesthetic to what a very similar lifestyle, a very similar aura, a vibe. Like it's very reminiscent of what the Kardashians are doing. So it's a very monkey see, monkey do thing. A lot of the cosmetic surgery and procedures that get done kind of tend to rise in tandem with what's going on with the Kardashians physically. Same thing with hair trends, fashion. So I do agree to some extent that that is very, very true. It's just that I have a hard time with it because particularly with like Khloe and Kylie, okay? When we look at the history, and let me just go ahead and say this also really quick. I am not a big Kardashian fan. I don't think I'm following any of them on social media. I have watched some of the seasons over the years. And also let me say, I'm not trying to be a Kardashian apologist because I think they have a lot of issues surrounding things like cultural appropriation and less than self-aware behavior. Their behavior during the pandemic was a really good example of that. So I'm not here to lump all of this together. I'm literally just talking about their aesthetic, beauty standards and all that stuff. So let's try to like focus on the one thing because I can't get into everything about them, but I'm not a huge fan. Don't follow them religiously. But I think I was about 21 when the Kardashians came about and I was pre-Kardashian. I remember what the beauty standards and things like that were prior to them, and I have seen it evolve since then. And when it comes to Khloe and Kylie in particular, they have been the ones that even before they kind of submitted to the beauty standard that supposedly they are in charge of creating, they also got raked through the coals consistently, were made fun of, the ugly duckling, all of that stuff. And it just kind of goes to show you that when it comes to beauty in the female form, like in a lot of ways, you can't win for losing. It's like, you're ugly, you need to do something about it. And then you do something about it. And it's like, well, you did too much, or you used to be ugly, or this is what she looks like when she's not on Instagram, which is like, I see all these videos come out. I don't watch them, so they might actually come to the same conclusion I'm about to say. But I see all these videos and stuff where it's like influencers, Instagram versus reality and stuff like that. And it turns into I'm guessing the discussion is basically like supposed to empower the viewer. I think, I don't watch the videos, so I don't know. But in my mind, it seems like the point of it is to empower the viewer to understand that like, don't compare yourself to these images because they don't even look that way. And I think that's an important message and something very crucial that we need to keep in mind. However, I find it very interesting that we're using actual people and their appearance to try to we're using other people as a way to help us deal with, contend with, and understand the issues that we have about beauty culture and body image within ourselves. Because the point you're trying to make in this moment is this picture looks really good. She looks amazing, but don't get it twisted. This is what she really looks like. What she really looks like is inferior. For some reason, that rings as almost like counterproductive because it kind of feels like a way just to knock people down a peg. And that is something people were really harping on with Khloe, which is like, well, she doesn't really look like these images she posted. She actually really looks like this. And this really isn't that great. So I just don't get it because it's like obvious. I mean, Khloe really showed her hand here a lot in terms of the depths of this insecurity she has around her body and her body image, which I'll get into in a minute. Khloe just seems to have internalized a lot of negativity surrounding her appearance and tried to mold herself into something more socially acceptable. I believe Khloe has really been damaged at some point because of all of this stuff. And it's unfortunate because I'm going to say it all the time. This stuff just really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And I would highly encourage everyone, Khloe included, to do some deep work surrounding their relationship to beauty, because her reaction to it, I kind of felt sorry for her. She went so far as to kind of write a notepad Instagram post defending her real body versus her real body. Which one is the real one? And here's the thing I think is so funny about that. When I have a full face of makeup on, hair curl, jewelry on, cute outfit on, that's how I look. When I don't, when I have dirty hair, no makeup and sweats on, that is also how I look. I don't think it's fair to talk about what the real one is. It's just a different way I'm presenting myself that day. But either one doesn't actually define anything about who I am except for what I felt like looking like that day. And with her, she had that little apology that she wrote, and then she went on kind of damage control on Instagram, showing videos of her body. And it just kind of read as why are you feeling that? It's not even why, I know why. It is so sad that this woman feels the need to defend her body to the world, to make it okay. I need to show it in a certain way so it's okay, because I think the discussion was that her body is fake and it doesn't really look that way. But again, different angles, different photos, different days of the week, so many factors go into how you look that day. And the fact that we believe that the human appearance is static in any way is so negative, because the human body, the human face, things are going to change over time. And this need for it to always be the same, or it doesn't count. Really confused about that, and I think it's a really damaging message. A lot of people felt like Khloe should have just embraced that moment and taken that opportunity to celebrate her body the way that it is. But I also feel like if she's not ready to go on that journey and have that relationship with her body, it is not our place to demand that people do that. That's something I hear a lot too. It's not that this sentiment is incorrect, because there is a lot of truth to it. But you hear all the time this idea that well, stop getting plastic surgery and just love yourself. Stop doing, hair and makeup and just learn to love yourself. Oh my God, there's a fly in here, you guys. It will not go away. I'm so sorry. I actually have a new Venus flytrap named Buffy that I probably should have brought in here because she needs to do some damage. But anyway, that sentiment is based in fact. And in a perfect world, we would all love ourselves so completely and so totally, and understand that these are just our meat suits and we are cosmic, divine, amazing, interesting beings that offer so much more to the world besides this. That would be great. But that takes a lot of work. And the amount of work it's going to take is completely dependent upon where you start in that journey and what you've been through. And I think to force this idea that like, because I'm willing to bet most of the people who are making that claim have not done the work themselves and are not in that place either. But we demand other people get there because watching other people be in the pursuit of physical beauty makes us uncomfortable for some reason. Like basically, again, it's this big projection thing. And we're expecting Khloe Kardashian to make this okay for us, when really we need to be doing this work ourselves. And I'll give you an example of a way you can do this work. Last year, I did a video called Broken Beauty, where it was going to be a series. I had a goal for it, a vision for it, but I stopped. Because basically the first video was kind of talking about beauty culture, the correlation between money and beauty, the sacrifices that must be made, the cultural expectation of it, and yet simultaneously the cultural backlash against the pursuit of it. Like this odd, there are no right answers. It's all kind of intertwined and very confusing. I made this video and it bummed me out. I didn't film again for a while after that. Also because I was like not in a good place anyway. But that video really forced me to ask a lot of questions about my role in this, my relationship to beauty, and am I okay with the fact that I am contributing to this? Even though like I am not a Kardashian and I don't have millions of subscribers, I still get on here and talk about beauty products and present myself a certain way on camera very intentionally. And very, very calculated, in a very calculated way, because I know that that is what I am intending to make a life off of one way or the other. And if it's not me doing it on YouTube, it was me putting makeup on other people. So I'm very involved in this in any way that a person can be. But when I stop and examine what it all means, it doesn't make me feel good. Really had to ask myself a lot of tough questions. I had to really meditate on and think about, what does this mean for me? And like, how far am I willing to take this? And to what happens if I didn't have it? What does it mean? And that is some work I think that we as a society desperately need to be doing, instead of constantly needing celebrities and other public figures to make sense of this for us. We do not need Khloe Kardashian to stop photoshopping her. Again, I get why it is damaging. I'm not saying that this doesn't have an effect. Again, I did the work. I understand how much it does. But what the conclusion I came to here is that it cannot fall on them to make this okay for us. We have to make this okay for us because, you know, everyone's talking about, like I said in the top of the video, this idea that like Khloe Kardashian is a victim of her own beauty standards. The Kardashians collectively have something like 100 million, 200 million. I don't even know how many Instagram followers. So people are showing up for this. People are watching this. This is working. And yet we blame them. This is our responsibility. We are the ones letting them profit off of our insecurity, and we don't have to. So the time that I spent trying to unpack this and think about this led me to one conclusion. And this might not be very helpful, and some people might think that it's insensitive to the situation. Again, I could get up here, I guess, and make a video unpacking all the stuff about beauty standards, but it has been a very hot topic of conversation lately on YouTube, and I've like I said, I've been on this journey for a while. Even you go back to like my anti-haul, no-buy content stuff. I talked about the beauty myth. I talked about all of this a long time ago. So it's been years of me thinking about this. And the conclusion I've come to is you just have to have a sense of humor about this at the end of the day, because there is only so far most of us are willing to take this situation anyway. The Kardashians are the extreme of this. Like, there's just surgery and things I'm not willing to do to my body. There's certain lifestyles I'm not willing to live. There's certain things I'm not willing to do to be considered beautiful by everyone. Because again, what does that even mean? And then what? I watched a video recently by The Take that I will link down below, where they called the Kardashians beauty laborers. I think that was the word they used. And I thought it was so perfect, because it was just the performance of beauty and the pursuit of it, the never ending pursuit of it, because it literally doesn't matter how tight your waist gets and how tiny your pores are and how cute your outfit is, you're going to get older and then you're just going to have to keep fighting it forever. Like, how far are you willing to take this? And does it actually matter to you? Or do you think it has to matter to you? Once you can get to a place where you can look at it for the absurd thing that it is, and not only how absurd it is, how subjective it is. Because there are some people who think Kim Kardashian is the most beautiful woman in the world. And there are some people who think Keira Knightley is the most beautiful woman in the world. So like, it just genuinely... I don't know what the goal is. And I think if you're not examining what the goal is, what you're hoping to get out of it, what you're avoiding by chasing it, what toxic messages you're putting in front of yourself, in this moment, we cannot keep blaming I'm, again, not trying to be a Kardashian apologist here, but I just don't think it's realistic to keep putting our self-esteem, our sense of self into their hands. Yes, beauty standards, particularly Western and white beauty standards that hold up white women and white beauty as like the most, like the pinnacle of all. I know they're very damaging. I get it. But at some point, we as the viewers can take this situation into our hands a little bit more and start being really aware of who's getting our money and why they're getting our money. And do we want to participate anymore? Truly, is this working for anyone? If you get to a point where you can have a sense of humor about it, then you can get to a point where you can just treat it like play, and that's where it can stop. If you choose to participate in it at all. I will always love beauty, female beauty. Like, I loved models since I was a little girl. I just don't know what it is. I love it. I love looking at the human face. Like, there is something about it that's like genetic in me. I'm not kidding. But I also recognize now more than I used to that it can just be play. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. And I think that if we could not only take on a more lighthearted view of it when we can, where we can, because again, I understand how insidious this truly is. Can't undersell that point. But also, I think having empathy for other people, because it's not just the Kardashians who get that type of scrutiny. There was a time in my life about, and I'm still working on losing this weight, but in the past, I would say from 2014 to 2019, I probably gained like 60 pounds. And it came because I was just in a really dark time in my life and food was the way I was trying to comfort myself. And I know, because I've heard about it, that people that I used to consider friends and that I knew well have sat around and talked about me and my body and my appearance and, oh, bless her hearted their way through the conversation. But really the point was like, look what happened to Whitney. And that happens to all of us. So I think that when this happened to Khloe, it felt like, oh, at least it's not me. I'm going to chime in on this also. I mean, though, I know it wasn't a weight gain issue, but she didn't look the same anymore in our eyes. And that was like her sin. Again, this is a very complicated conversation. I don't really know if I've arrived at any concise opinion here, but I've been thinking about it ever since it happened. And I thought talking about it with you guys might open a dialogue. You guys could illuminate something new for me I hadn't considered before, or maybe I could do that for you. I do have a video that I want to share with you guys I'm going to make soon about the psychology of my weight loss, and I think the psychology of some people's weight loss. It's not really like a definitive analysis of all weight loss psychology, but it's just what I learned in that process, and it became very clear to me that the weight loss and the weight gain and my issues with my body that I've dealt with over the years have almost nothing to do with anything other than this thing right here. And that is just true about all our perceptions surrounding beauty and inadequacy. And it's just deep work we need to do. We need to do it. If you're going to keep putting yourself in these online spaces that make you feel like absolute shit all the time, you at least need to go in there mentally prepared for war, because that's what you're doing. You're putting yourself through an emotional and mental war if you're not in a good place for those type of messages. They make you very malleable and susceptible to choices that seem like there's what you're supposed to want and what you're supposed to do, but may have absolutely nothing with who you are and what actually works for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you to the patrons. I've been kind of enjoying doing these kind of more stream of conscious style videos, talking to you guys about things that are on my mind and on my spirit. And I have so many things I want to talk to you guys about, so many video ideas coming. I foresee a potential metamorphosis of myself and my content on the horizon. And I've felt that way in the past for sure. But this time it's different. I don't know why. I think it's maybe just coming out of what extreme grief and loss will do to you. Like when I lost my mom, it just changes you. And I feel very changed. And my content will probably reflect that. So anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Please thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new here. Check the down bar for links on social media platforms. And I will catch you in the new one. In the next one. Bye.